right. Let's talk real quick, because you were, again, I think a little bit too modest about being an All American Rugby player. So
Sure.
tell us a little bit about that.
Well, so rugby to me was a beautiful thing. It's a sport that I'd never played before, and I would say, with the exception of marrying my wife and having our children, has been probably the most taken as an individual effort, formative experience of my life. I went to the Naval Academy expecting to play football. You know, I was a tight end in high school, and at the time, the Naval Academy offense didn't utilize a tight end, and so they converted me to defensive end. I was not fast enough to play the position, so then they put me in an offensive tackle. At the time, I weighed probably 205 pounds soaking wet, you know. So, but they had a guy who was a year older than me who, you know, eventually went on to play with both the Green Bay Packers and the Panthers, who had made a similar transition, and ended up getting a Super Bowl ring. So it just wasn't. I made it past spring ball, and I made the cut to continue playing. But I read the handwriting on the wall, and it looked like, man, I probably won't even really get significant playing time until I'm a senior, and that's if I'm really minding my P's and Q's and kind of kicking ass, and doing the things that I need to do. And another buddy of mine who had played defensive end as a freshman had decided to quit and went over to the rugby team, and kind of made me a convert. And man, I went over there, and it was like somebody turned on the light bulb. But it was, I think,
That's
much
awesome.
more suited to. Man, it was such a great experience, and the guys that were doing it, I think, for the love of sport and for the love of the game in particular, which I didn't even have a concept of. Right, I knew none of the rules going in. I mean, we're consistently one of the top 4 rugby teams in the nation, and we're not bringing in any money for the school. We're not selling any merchandise or drawing fans to the stadium. You know, they're like packing the audience. Is just not really heard of in this day and age. And I'm hopeful that maybe someday it will be. But part of the nice thing about that, Brian, is that I was still allowed to play it essentially for the love of the game. We went on a tour to Ireland. I think it was my sophomore, junior year, and it was like you could still go to Ireland, you know, play at a really high level, and then go have a pint in the pub afterwards, and no one looks sideways at you because it's all part of the culture, you know?
Nice.
Whereas I think if you were found doing that as a high-level college football player, there would be questions of, hey, why is this guy drinking a beer during the season? And, you know, what do his teammates think about it, and all that kind of stuff. And we were really allowed to, I think, experience rugby and to do some of the stuff that I think was really fun to do as a college athlete.
The reason I stopped playing college basketball, Nick, was because I played basketball for basically 5 years of my life, all the way through high school and my first year of college. Every single day, 365 days a year, I was totally obsessed. Sure. Then I got to college. We had a kind of a tough season, but it was just I was just worn out. And I told my dad, I said, I'm just not enjoying myself anymore. So I'm going to join the Corps of Cadets. So I put down my basketball, and I didn't pick a basketball up for a year. And then I picked it up again. I started playing intramurals and started playing for the love of the game. And I not only had a much, much better time, I was actually a better basketball player after I had taken some time off. But well, that's great, Nick.